Hi, this is Tekoa Manning with Elijah's Prophetic Cup, and we're going to be talking about dreams today. I've received a few questions from some of you over the past several weeks, and I've been trying to get back on here and discuss dreams with you all. And one of the questions I received was, why do we need dream interpreters, or why do we need to study how to interpret our dreams or learn more about interpreting dreams if Joseph was able to give the interpretations to a dream, and if the dream is really from the Father, shouldn't we have the interpretation? And so first of all, I wanted to point out that many times in Scripture, a dream is the Father speaking. And when they're recorded throughout the Bible, we don't see any pictures and we don't see any riddles to unravel. And I'm going to give you one example of that, and it's from Genesis or Bereshit chapter 32. And it's when Jacob is fleeing his father-in-law's house. He's taking his wife and his children, as the father has told him to do, because Laban and his sons' hearts are not right towards Jacob anymore. And it says in chapter 31, I'm reading from verse 32 out of the Tree of Life version. It says, when Laban was told on the third day after Jacob had fled, he took his relatives with him and pursued him a 7 days' journey. And then he overtook him in the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban in a dream at night and said to him, watch yourself, lest you say anything to Jacob, good or bad. So he gives him this warning, and we don't see any riddles to unravel. The message is given in the night in this dream state, and Laban knows and remembers that when he does meet up with Jacob. And so I wanted to go on to, I wanted to go on to chapter 40 of Genesis or Bereshit. And we know that Joseph is probably the most popular dreamer and the wisest of interpreters in the Bible. And I wanted to answer the question concerning trying to interpret dreams, or why can't we all be like Joseph? And I wanted to show you something. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. But I'm reading chapter 40, and Joseph is in the prison, and I'm starting at verse 5, and it says, then the two of them each dreamed a dream on the same night. The dream of each man, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, each had its own interpretation. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he observed them, and there they were, looking miserable. So he discerns that they're troubled in their spirit. So he asked Pharaoh's officials who were with him in the custody of the house of his master, saying, why are your faces so sad today? They said to him, we dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. Then Joseph said to them, don't interpretations belong to God? Please tell me your dream. Now, there's a couple things we do know, is that we know that Joseph knows that one of these men was the cupbearer to the king, and one of them was the baker to the king. So he already knows their occupations, and he already knows that they have been thrown into prison with him. So it says, so the chief of the cupbearers told his dream to Joseph, saying to him, in my dream, suddenly there was a vine in front of me. On the vine were 3 branches, And as it was budding, its blossoms came out, its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup in Pharaoh's palm. So Joseph already knows that this man used to be the cupbearer, and his dream implies grapes, wine, the pressing of the grapes, and that this cup is being placed back into his hand. And so a lot of times people send me dreams. I don't know anything about them. I don't know what they do for a living. I don't know what's going on in their life. But Joseph already knows what all is going on in these two men's lives. And he knows that they had occupation working for the king. And so a lot of times I will ask people a few questions and then their dream will make sense to me. But we must remember that there's always clues and things going on in dreams, and learning the symbols and what the symbols mean. And all dreams are really symbolic, unless the father is just speaking as he was to Laban. In several verses in the New Testament or the Brit Hadashah, he is speaking to Jesus, Yeshua's father, in the night and saying, flee with the child, for Herod is looking for him to kill him. And so these dreams where these men or women are getting a message, they don't need interpretations because they are literally a message. And even the Apostle Paul, Shaul, he has a vision in the night and he sees a man in Macedonia and he's saying, please come over and help us. And the scriptures imply that the next day they were going to journey there because the man said, please come and help my people. And so the Father is always wanting to speak to us. And the way he does that is through his word and also through visions and dreams and sometimes his voice. And most of the time that voice isn't audible, but you can hear it. You can hear it in your spirit. And visions you can see internally and externally. A vision could pop in your mind. And yes, I know a lot of things pop in our mind, but this is going to look different. And there's going to be something rather strange about it that you're going to have to more than likely pray about, unless it's as simple as this man in the Apostle Paul's night vision dream saying, come over here and help us. And there's no need to try to decipher that. And the first time I had a vision that was external, it just about scared me to death because I knew that something had appeared before my eyes and I saw it, but then it was gone. And a lot of times the way the Father speaks to us is very interesting, and he is always trying to speak to us. So we know that the Father spoke to many kings in the Bible. I believe it's 6. These were not, holy, righteous men. He spoke to kings. He warned kings not to sleep. He warned a king not to sleep with Sarah, Abimelech. He warned Nebuchadnezzar. He gave many men who were in positions of authority, such as Pharaoh, dreams that troubled them in the night, where they would need a Daniel or a Joseph or somebody with wisdom to come interpret their dreams. And a lot of people think that they had a dream because they ate some mushrooms, they ate some pizza, they watched some movies, but if you notice, the baker and the cupbearer were very perplexed and troubled over these dreams. They knew these dreams came from the Father. They knew that these dreams were not normal. Now, if you watch a TV show every night and all of a sudden you're dreaming about something pertaining to that, there are ways that we just may dream things that really don't have any meaning, or it's not from the heavenlies to warn us or encourage us or show us something. It's just a dream, and what we focus on does grow. But I would suggest that you start getting a journal and keep track of your dreams. My husband and I have been journaling and keeping track of our dreams almost since the day we met, because we went on a fast for 3 days or something like that together before we were married. And we both had a dream on the same night, and the Father has always spoken to us through dreams. And sometimes the Father will have other people dream dreams for us. And I want to share another story. It's found in Judges chapter 7, and it's concerning Gideon. And we know that Gideon, he was given this assignment by the Father. He was somewhat afraid and unsure, and so he would put out the fleece and so forth and so on. And he ended up tearing down the idols and the groves and the things of his father in the nighttime. And so then he is trying to get his army together for battle, and the Father gets it down to 300 men. And you can read all about this story in Judges 7. My main point I want to get to is that Gideon is getting ready to go into battle with the Midianites. And it says, now the camp at Midian was below him in the valley. It came to pass the same night that Adonai said to him, arise, get down against the camp, for I've given it into your hands. But if you are afraid to go down, first go down to the camp with your attendant. Then you will hear what they are saying, and after that, your hands will be strengthened to attack the camp. So the Father tells him, go down there, take your servant, and you're going to hear something. And when you hear this, you're going to be strengthened. So he went down with his attendant to an outpost of the army that was in the camp. Now the Midianites, the Amalekites, and all the people of the east were lying in the valley as numerous as locusts, and their camels were countless, as numerous as the sand of the seashore. I want you to think about that, because Gideon has an army of 300. It says in verse 13, yet when Gideon came, behold, there was a man relating a dream to his fellow, saying, listen, I just now had a dream. This is the enemy, okay? Satan or Hasatan is not giving the enemy a dream. The Father is giving the enemy the dream. He says, listen, I just now had a dream. There was a loaf of barley bread that came tumbling into the camp. A Midian came up to a tent, struck it so it fell, turned it upside down so that the tent lay flat. His companion answered and said, this is nothing less than the sword of Gideon, son of Joash, a man of Israel. God has delivered Midian and all the camp into his hand. Now when Gideon heard the account of the dream and its interpretation, he bowed in worship. Gideon hears the enemy's dream and the interpretation given by the enemy, and he knows it's from the Father, because the Father has told him to go ahead, go down there and listen. So now I want you to think about that, because a lot of people, they will tell me that they think Satan gave them a dream, Satan tormented them in the night. Nowhere in Scripture is there any recording of Hasatan or Satan giving anyone a dream. And yes, demonic spirits and things can attack you in the night or in your sleep, or cause you to feel suffocated, or where you can't move in the bed, or you may be battling things. But when we study dreams, they all came from Adonai. Every dream recorded in the Bible, even the dreams given to the enemy's camp, even the dreams given to kings such as Pharaoh, came down from the Father of lights. And if you want to know more about dream symbols, I have a podcast here on YouTube that I recorded a few years ago with Keisha Gallagher from Grace in Torah, and you can find her at graceintorah.net. If you have not checked out her blog site, it is filled with amazing posts, lots of things to dig into and learn from. I will be back to make some more videos on dreams and the interpretation of dreams. I pray this has blessed you. Shalom.